told me to make sure I tell you guys that we're recording this. So we're recording this. So Russ, you're being recorded.
Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dave, for that introduction. And you took the words right out of my mouth as far as a late night and early morning and lots of coffee. Good morning, everyone. I'm Russ Davis. I'm the State Director for Office of Apprenticeship with the United States Department of Labor. We're excited about this virtual workshop. And it has been what really started this workshop is the changes that came through Senator Peters' bill, the act. It was public bill law 116-134. And what that bill, that act amounted to is to putting into our standards a section 3 and an addendum identifying, so the sponsor assures that when we have a GI, a veteran applying for an apprenticeship, that we're making sure that the sponsor is aware of the availability of the educational assistance for the veteran and eligible individual under chapters 30 through 36 of Title 38. Today, you're going to learn more about those updated standards and boilerplates and addendums with the workshops that are ahead with two of my ATR's apprentice training reps that work with me, Tiffany Clausen from Battle Creek and Mark DeCoster from Detroit. Through these workshops, you're going to have an opportunity to hear through with the Veterans Association, Troy Tissue. You've also heard a little bit about from Dave, but we're going to make sure that the sponsors, when you set these apprenticeship standards up, that you've got a good team behind you as far as understanding how this new act is going to take place. We want to make sure that veterans are entitled to all their benefits. Now, in the past, in our section, our selection procedures, our standards, we did have veterans in there through, one of it was through hard hats to helmets. And that mainly took place with the construction trades. And so we were missing out on a lot of opportunities for our other apprenticeships. So by putting this act in with Senator Peters, we're making sure that we cover all the standards. And so any updates of revisions or added occupations, this addendum will be added to that. Mark and Tiffany are going to explain that to you. Today, as David mentioned, we're kicking off National Apprenticeship Week through this virtual workshop. And with everybody here, those of you, the sponsors that are on board and want to get started on doing your standards, we hope that on November 12th, next week, we could have a virtual signing ceremony. If it turns out that I could be in person to these, I certainly will try to, but as of right now, under the conditions, working with this team, I think a virtual signing and also with a picture taking will be like we're in person. Look forward to everybody. We look forward to the questions. I'm going to have to leave you for just a little bit around 10 o'clock, but I won't be gone long, but I'll be back on this conference today to answer any questions you have for the Office of Apprenticeship. With that, I'd like to introduce you to Scott Yedley, State Administrative Manager, Workforce Development, State Apprentice Expansion Team. And thanks, Scott, for holding us this morning.
You're welcome, Russ, and thank you for the introduction, and thank you for all of those who are in attendance. We really appreciate your time and attention this morning. And I'm going to try to give us just a little bit of an overview of what's going to happen this morning. The important part is probably in the title. This is Discover Apprenticeship in Michigan. virtual workshop, but it's based on employers. It's focused on employers, veteran-friendly employers, those looking to improve their opportunities through GI Bill benefits, and those employers looking to better leverage resources that are available in Michigan around registered apprenticeship. So I'm going to share a few slides this morning just to kind of get us organized. And I'll take a video check. Should be looking at them now.
Yep, it looks great.
Thank you so much. So Discover Apprenticeship in Michigan is a title that we selected this morning. It also is part of a national campaign that's been well researched and promoted through Russ's national team at the U.S. Department of Labor. And so we're leveraging the work they put into to help citizens in every state. And we're using the same thing in Michigan to make sure that we leverage that Discover Apprenticeship in Michigan theme. I'm going to talk about why apprenticeship matters very briefly for those who are newer to the concept, and then the goal of this workshop this morning and an agenda overview. So registered apprenticeship matters because of the employer benefits. It immediately fills a job opening with a motivated worker that's learning exactly the skills that the employer needs. Really important is that it starts a rapid transfer of knowledge from the current to the future high-value worker. So the skills of those employees that you have as an employer that are just the right ones begin to transfer to the new workers. It eliminates a typical 2 to 6 year span when many job seekers are learning only general skills. And it's an industry-driven solution that facilitates access to a lot of related resources. And today's workshop is an opportunity to learn more intimately about each of those. It also reduces employee turnover. 94% of those that complete a program stay with the employer. Then the associated improvement on productivity and the bottom line. There are non-registered programs in Michigan, but it's important to remember that they may or may not have these elements. Registered apprenticeship ensures that your program offers these benefits, both to your business and your employee. We're serious about registered apprenticeship expansion and increasing the number of registered apprenticeships in Michigan. Supports our governor's 60 by 30 initiative. Occupations are expanding as well and now include advanced manufacturing, as you would expect, and construction, but also energy, healthcare, information technology, and mobility. Looking at last year's data, we have nearly 1,000 programs, 20,000 active apprentices, and 660 of those were in healthcare. Based on our performance to date and employers working to offer those programs in Michigan, we achieved about $19 million in active, little over, in active USDOL expansion funds at a state level to bring 6,000 new apprentices on board by 2023. We also have, in coordination with Russ's team of ATRs, apprenticeship success coordinators in each workforce region in Michigan. And that's worth noting. The regional strategy is pretty powerful. And if you glance at the mitten map, you'll see that we have apprenticeship success coordinators in each region, and they help to distribute the funding and the resources to employers that are nearby. And as it mentions in the gold text, the Office of Apprenticeship ATRs also help to support each region to ensure success. Expansion happens there where they're working to meet your needs and help your program get started or take the next step. One of my favorite graphics about why a workshop like this is really important is take a look at your desk, right? Setting up program standards for registered apprenticeship takes a couple different steps. We're engaging in those today. And typically, you know, we start out a day as an employer, we want to make sure we get the program standards signed, get Russ to sign them, and start our registered apprenticeship. One of the things that's happening in Michigan is we're going to start over 1,000 youth registered apprenticeships. And we're going to do that in conjunction with the Department of Ed and our CTE program centers and high schools to make sure that youth are moving right into a registered apprenticeship program in a chosen career pathway. But to get those standards started, in the morning, we say as an employer, today's the day. That's a picture of your desk. It's cleaned up, you're ready to start. The challenge we have in getting it done, though, is that by noon or midday, right, it starts to look more like this. It gets a little bit confusing. And then you know the rest of the story. By afternoon, right, it looks an awful lot like this. And it gets confusing to get the priorities set and get the thing done. So our goal today is to get us into a little more of an intimate setting where we can focus on your needs as an employer and talk to you about what is the next step that you can take. We've done these in-person events where we kind of get around tables and work with the employer. And our goal today is to make this a virtual opportunity, yet accomplish some of the same goals. So the part you don't see is that after this takes place, Russ does the formal signing of those standards that are being created and helping employers take the next step. And that's what we want to do this morning. So if you don't have a registered program, one of the meeting materials that we can help you to navigate to is an employer information form. By filling out that form, which is pretty straightforward, we can take the next step to create a registered program. We're going to have breakout sessions, and one of them just talks about either hosting or sponsoring a registered apprenticeship program or adding occupations to an existing program. So we've got people who will talk about that. Dave's going to talk about veteran-friendly employer certification. There's going to be Troy Tissue talking about GI Bill benefits and state approval, the state approving agency, and talk to you about adding that to your program. And we're going to have a breakout room where you're going to be able to talk with regional apprenticeship success coordinators about resources and funding available to you as a sponsor of a registered apprenticeship. So we're currently here on the agenda. We're going to give you a little bit of an overview of what's going to happen in each breakout room. Then there's going to be a 5-minute standard break. I think the first one's actually 10. We'll talk a little bit about navigating between the rooms. And then you're going to move into 20-minute breakout rooms where the focus is going to be all about any employer in the room that's looking for more information or wanting to take the next step. Then we're going to repeat that 3 times. It's difficult in the virtual format to answer your specific questions without making it be a little more personal and getting into a smaller settings. We're going to try to leverage this technology to do that. And that represents an agenda overview. But before we get into it, my comment would be is that this is the first one of these we've done virtually. And we're really excited about it because we think we can help employers take the next step towards registered apprenticeship. If we're doing it right, it should feel a little bit cumbersome, maybe a little bit awkward because we haven't done this before and we haven't leveraged these breakout rooms and the associated technology. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll talk just a little bit more about it right as we step into that portion of the event. So back to our agenda. We're gonna next move to general session 1, which is just a description, sort of an overview description of what's going to happen in the breakout sessions. And we're going to start out with ATR's apprenticeship training representative, And Tiffany, is this your segment or Mark?
Before they get started,
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Talk loudly, please.
Yes. So good morning and thank you for participating in this event. My name is Tiffany Clausen, and as Russ stated, I am out of the Battle Creek office. I have Mark DeCoster, who is out of the Detroit office with me. And we are with the U.S. Department of Labor Office of Apprenticeship. I just wanted to give you a brief description of the Registered Apprenticeship sponsorship process and also what we're going to be discussing in our breakout session. For new programs, you can contact your assigned ATR, so myself, Mark, or Mary Beth, your Michigan Works ASC, which is an Apprenticeship Success Coordinator. Work with the apprenticeship person at your local college, or you can go to www.apprenticeship.gov to start the process. All of us work together and we will work with you to create a registered program that will enable you to train employees in the occupation or occupations that you register with us. This information is for employers that will hold their standards, sponsors of registered apprenticeships, and intermediaries that will have employers sign on to their standards. We will work with sponsors on getting their programs registered and also continue to work with them throughout the duration of their program. This includes any revisions, program assessments, and updates to personnel in the RAPID system. That is our record, our system of record. In the breakout sessions, we will give you more information on the requirements of a registered apprenticeship program and highlight the state of Michigan numbers on registered apprenticeships. Again, thanks for your interest, and we all look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you, Tiffany. And Jay or Wanda, a brief description of breakout sessions for Going Pro Talent Fund and apprenticeship, registered apprenticeship opportunities and grants.
Good morning. So Jay and I are going to talk about the opportunities that we have through the Michigan Works service centers, and as far as grants and services that we are able to help employers with. Anything else, Jay?
Thank you, and thank you everyone for being a part of this. You know, as Wanda mentioned, we're going to be covering some of the funding available through the Michigan Works system, and also the Apprenticeship Success Coordinator function and how we partner with Scott and his team and Russ and his team to further apprenticeship expansion in the state.
Perfect. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Wanda. The GI Bill approval process, Troy? And I don't see, we don't hear you, Troy.
where's Troy at?
Christine, can you tell me, please, if we have Troy on the line?
He is not on the list
Okay,
of participants, right?
thank you, Kimberly. Okay, so let me see. I did not take a call when I was presenting the slides. I'm wondering if maybe I missed one, but so we'll work on having Troy catch up here as we connect with him.
Scott,
And yes,
this is Russ. I just wanted you to add that you and I don't know who else will be in the main room for questions specifically to you or to I while this breakout sessions are going on.
yes, good point. Thank you, Russ. And that's a great reminder. So we're actually a little bit ahead of schedule. Dave, did you want to give a brief overview of the veteran-friendly employer certification program, please, just as a primer?
No, I'm not gonna do that. So,
Thank you, Dave.
Troy is AWOL and now we're 15 minutes ahead of schedule, which is good.
Yes.
So the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency is a cabinet level director appointed by the governor. And we stood up in 2013 to serve as the central coordinating agency for all things veteran in Michigan. Prior to that, I'll tell you, there was probably nobody that did it worse than Michigan. We were like 53 out of 54 states and territories when it comes to service provision to our veterans. Governor Snyder didn't like that and stood this agency up, and we focus on 4 things. We focus on veteran employment, veteran quality of life, veteran healthcare, and veteran education. We started the Veteran Friendly Employer Program in 2013 with just a small handful of employers, General Motors, Michigan State Police, Roush Industries. These were all companies that had pretty active veteran hiring programs. At this point in 2013, the veteran unemployment rate was close to 11% across the board. And then when you looked at post 9/11 veterans, we were closer to 16%. We made dramatic impact on that by partnering with our employers. Now, prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, we were at about 3.5% veteran unemployment in the state of Michigan. For the first time in anybody's memory, the veteran unemployment rate was actually lower than the non-veteran unemployment rate. And our program has since grown to where we have over I think as of this morning, 394 veteran-friendly employers. I get new applications every day. And we're talking everybody from General Motors, Ford, Fiat, Chrysler, North America, Consumers Energy, DTE, Whirlpool, down to the How Sweet It Is Fudge and Candy Company in DeWitt, Michigan, that has 6 employees. We've all become like family. You know, if you look at Iowa, for instance, Iowa has a veteran-friendly certification program that has like 16,000 employers on it. And basically the employers get on a website and they register as being veteran-friendly employers, and that's it. Well, in Michigan, it's a little different. In Michigan, we vet our employers. Our employers all take a pledge that they're going to hire X number of veterans in the next 12 months. Employee veteran retention is extremely important, and that's how an employer rises from the bronze level status to the silver level status to the gold level status. We realize that not all companies have the resources to invest in veteran hiring strategies. So we help companies with that through free consultation, free training for everything from military cultural competence. So senior leadership of an organization understands where veterans come from, all the way down to how to build an effective veteran hiring strategy, how to recognize veterans that are currently within your workforce, and how to deal with things like post-traumatic stress and mild traumatic brain injury in the workforce, because that's important. So our employers have all made a pledge that we don't really care where a veteran gets a job, a veteran or a veteran family member or a member of the Guard and Reserve, as long as they have exciting career opportunities. And that's why exploring this apprenticeship space is so exciting to us. And it's kind of new to us. The traditional paths to employment have always been our focus. And now we're branching off into more things like veteran entrepreneurialism or veteran apprenticeship programs. And so we're really happy to have this workshop this morning. And because of Troy, I ate up like 4 minutes, but that's probably all you're going to get from us. I got to save it for my workshop.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be out in the lobby. I'm going to stay in this room during the breakout. So I'm pretty thankful for the overview, and I learned more than I knew just right then. Thank you so much. I mean, moving from a handful to 394 veteran-friendly employers, what a piece of work. I mean,
And I tell you what, here's what you won't read in Crane's Business Weekly, is that we all work together to trade these best practices when it comes to veteran hiring strategies. And you, like I say, you won't read in Crane's Business Weekly about Ford, GM, and Fiat Chrysler sitting elbow to elbow at the same table, trading best practices. Consumers Energy, DTE, often in competition for this,
right.
for employees. We all work very closely together to make sure that Michigan's veterans and the transitioning service member community has excellent career opportunities here in Michigan. And we've all become partners, and it's really a cool thing to see that competitive spirit kind of set aside, because our main interest is making sure that veterans and their family members have excellent career opportunities here in Michigan.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dave. I was privileged right after I started in this position with the state, January, I think it was, to attend one of Dave's meetings, I think hosted by GE maybe. And I can attest to the family kind of cultural feeling that you get walking into one of those veteran-friendly employer certification sessions, and the kind of camaraderie. I think it's based on the family of veterans, and it's a great opportunity as we focus this month, right, to be able to thank each of you for your service again, and with all sincerity. And so I think that theme carries into those meetings, and it's obvious to me, not being a veteran, but being a participant in the workshop, that there's a lot of value that can bring to a workforce. I mean, to bring that kind of a tradition of work and effort to the workforce is just really exciting, and I think encouraging. So, and Russ's team has several veterans. It's a great opportunity to thank you each for your service as well. And typically they don't have these formal backgrounds. They're all have their little competition going back and forth between the military divisions, and so, but not today. So thank you, Dave, for that introduction. And I think not seeing Troy Christine that's joined us yet. I know Kevin is reaching out to him. I saw in the background there. So thank you, Kevin, for that. And then why don't we, can we just break out into 3 rooms, Christine? Is that an option?
Sure, of course.
Okay. Let's see if we can do that then. So I'll let you give a few extra details that I may miss about navigation. And we're going to have to kind of watch our timing, but we're pretty close to 9:30. What if we were to start at 9:40? So that's about 9 minutes away. And we take our first 20-minute segment right up until 10. Does that sound appropriate?
That works.
Okay. Then we will divide up into breakout rooms, and we'll get started on that in just a second. Based on your area of interest, it's going to require a little bit of interaction when it comes to your turn to kind of speak up and say where you want to move to. Please unmute your mic, make sure that your mic is active, and then let us know where you want to move. I kind of presented a little bit up front. This room is going to stay open. And so if you get into a breakout room and you need to, like, you want to return to this room, you can do that at any time. But we're probably not going to reintroduce you back into that room, because the presenters that are in each room have put a little bit of thought into what they want to talk about with you. And so they're going to go through a little 5-minute or so spiel, and then try and focus on your questions related to that breakout room area of expertise. Russ mentioned him and I and maybe a few others are going to be out here in this main meeting room. And for those of you who are leading sessions in the breakout rooms, please do try to pay attention to the clock and get good contact information if there's questions that we have to follow up with. We will have a list with emails if needed for those presenting, right, Christine, after the event?
Yes. When you register for Zoom, you provided an email address. So
Okay, that will be the contact information. Other than that, please try
Hey,
and
Scott.
establish. Yes.
Troy is here.
Hey, good morning, Troy.
It is a good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Good to hear your voice.
Likewise.
Okay, so we are, if you can just give the little overview piece that just talks about what you're going to talk about in your breakout room, that'd be excellent.
Well, essentially, what we'll cover is a little bit of background regarding the GI Bill as it applies to apprenticeship training, what we can expect of the type or the amount of veterans that are actively in the state of Michigan, which employers can engage with to recruit, if you will, employees to come into their programming. And then the actual application as far as how we go about as a state approving agency, partnering, if you will, with the DOL for employers with approved apprenticeships, and how that application process to gain our approval and thereafter enabling a veteran to get GI Bill benefits while enrolled in that apprenticeship training program can successfully be done.
Perfect. Perfect overview. Thank
As
you,
I
sir.
have dogs barking behind me and leaf blowers outside my window. Yes, this is a truly engaging day.
Yeah, yep, thank you. All right, so we are going to, over the next, what we got 9:35, so over the next 10 minutes here, we'll shuffle people towards their rooms. Do you want to start that now, Christine? And then we'll take a break and start in the rooms at 9:45 or 9:50?
yes, so the breakout rooms are now open. So for those of you who have been assigned a breakout room, it should pop on your screen. I'm giving you the option to join. So if you'd like to, feel free to join those sessions now, especially those who are leading those breakout rooms. Please join those now because people have already started to pop into your room. I did have to assign some people randomly to rooms because of they didn't select something when they registered. So if you are assigned to something that's not appropriate, feel free to just jump on right now and let me know. And I'd be happy to switch your room to something more appropriate before we actually get started.
Josh Jordan here. I wanted to get into the apprenticeship one.
All right.
Vet friendly thing, unless Dave wanted me in the vet friendly thing because we're silver going to gold. So
I have you listed as the MVAA Veteran Friendly Employment Certificate.
yeah, we're silver going to gold. So I don't know what Dave's going to tell me. I don't.
Oh, okay. So what one would you like to do?
The RA apprenticeship one.
Okay, I move you there.
Oh, thank you. Awesome.
Anybody else like to do to another one?
Christine, can you send me over to the funding workshop, please?
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Christine,
Yes.
can you send me over to the MWA RA?
Yes.
Christine, this is John Gardner. I would like to go to the apprenticeship room.
Nicole Peterson would also like to move to the apprenticeship room, if that's okay.
The MWA RA support and funding apprenticeship room for Gardner.
Could you repeat that, please?
Did you want to go to, I just sent it to you. Is that the right one you were thinking? And then Kim, who was that again?
Nicole Peterson.
Nicole Peterson.
Scott, I'll be here till 10 o'clock with you.
Okay, thank you, Russ.
Mine haven't, Athena Duma has not been sent over yet for the MWARA support and funding.
All right, is it popping up in your window now?
It is, thank you.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Athena.
Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Is this the particular room where you would learn about the apprenticeship program more?
So you're not there yet. You can head there though. John, do you see a pop-up when Christine shuffles you that way?
It should say RA support and funding.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alan Nash is ready to move to the MWA RA support and funding room.
All right, thank you.
Morning, Alan.
And it looks like we have Angela is unassigned. Angela, do you have a preference on where you'd like to go?
Presentation with Dave Dunkel.
Dave Dunkel, he is doing the USDOL.
Nope, he's doing veteran-friendly
Oh,
employer. Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right. Okay. Yep. So you should have had it pop up now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. For those of you who have not joined a breakout session, would you like to, or do you have questions for Scott and Russ?
So Shelley or Athena, were you able to move to the next room there?
I think some people logged in more than.
They're still showing here. Oh, there goes Athena. She just.
Let me see if we have two. No, she must have just stepped away from her computer.
Okay, all right, no problem. Well, 9:40, not too, so that was 5 minutes. Total moving people, not too bad.
Not too bad. Yeah.
I
Oh,
hope
that was pretty easy.
How many people
Successful.
we got here with us right now in this room?
7. 7.
Okay.
Am I working with the employer? I'm working with the employer, right? To be a resource with the programs that they are going to be implementing.
That's a great question.
I guess I'm trying to figure out, do I need to, I'm looking into, getting a proprietary school license, but also in the meantime, that does take time. But, I am doing some things with some of the, like the career learning centers and things like that, who are, getting my online, GED and workforce readiness type programs that I offer.
Yep. So it would need to be something that the employer agrees makes sense. So you're learning each piece of information that you pick up in these sessions will be helpful. It does get coordinated though into the program standards for an apprenticeship, a registered program standards which you were learning about in room 1.
Mhm.
And it does the training that supports the program for the apprentice does get written into the standards. And it does need to fit requirements that the USDOL sets up. So that part's important. Often though, a regional, like a Michigan Works agency might be tying you into those conversations so that they're aware of the services that you provide.
Mhm.
So that's why I kind of thought room 4 might make sense.
Okay.
But your training would need to be written into standards as part of that program for a registered apprenticeship program,
Okay. Thank you.
if that makes sense. And I appreciate your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Joe. Could you put me in room 4, please?
Joe. We've spoken. Joe and I have spoken. This is Nilda Thomas. We spoke a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, I recall that. How
Right.
are you?
Good, good.
Put a face with a name.
All right, Joe, there should be already a pop-up window. I assigned you one. It should say breakout room. You just need to accept it.
I asked to be put in room 4, but I haven't received a join.
There should be an option below maybe or behind your window. You have been assigned to that room.
I don't see mine either.
Once we're assigned to a room, there is, if you guys look down below your window, there should, next to participants and chat and share screen, there should be one called breakout rooms. So if you've been assigned, you should have a breakout room icon, I believe.
I see it now. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hi, Christine, this is Wanda. I am trying to get back to room 4, the MWARA support and funding.
All right, I just sent you there.
Okay.
Kelly Wilson, do you want to go to a different room?
Actually, I wouldn't mind staying in the one I was in. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to come back here and go back.
You don't have to. Yeah, you can go back to your old room if you'd like to learn more.
Okay, yeah, I would like that one.
And that was the MVAA, Veteran and Friendly Employer?
Yes.
Yep, so it should be in your breakout room tab if you want to go ahead and select that one.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Christine.
You're welcome.
Christine, this is Rebecca. My breakout room is actually showing up as 2. I asked, it's saying MWARA support, but I'm trying to get into room 2. So you have me in 4, but I should be in 2. Thank you.
And then Catherine Folks, you just joined. Do you have a choice of breakout room?
She said room 1
Perfect.
in the chat.
Thank you. And then we have Kendall Kettle.
She was in the chat as well. She would like room 2.
Perfect. And then Crystal Nenasor. Or Nasori. Do you have a room choice?
She's not in the chat.
Okay. Janine, do you have a choice of room you'd like to go to? Oh, Chris.
She said room 1, please.
Room 1.
All right. Fred Pittman, do you have a choice?
It just gives me.
He said room 2.
Request room 2.
Crystal is room 1, please.
All right, Crystal, it should be there already if you just click the breakout room tab and accept. Or I think maybe it's but join is the actual button.
It's Janine. I'm struggling finding, oh, never mind. I just saw it. I just go to breakout rooms. Got it. That's not
Thanks,
the one I
Janine.
did. All right. See,
Do you want a different one, Janine?
nah. Now, is there going to be one more?
Yeah, we're actually going to have two more if people are not, if they still have more questions.
Okay. I'm good. See you later.
Yep.
All right, Amber, it's just you, so feel free to ask your questions.
Okay, so Scott, here's our situation. I'm with Consumers Energy. I think we've met before.
Yep, I remember. Thank you.
Yeah, we have 5 registered apprenticeships within Consumers, and we're getting ready this spring to launch a veterans line worker training program. So it's a pre-apprenticeship 10-day training program specifically for veterans. We are a gold level veteran friendly employer. The issue we've recently run into is with veterans who are in our existing apprenticeship program, whether they be guards or reservists, individuals who need to take a break from their apprenticeship to go deploy or go to training. What I'm looking for, Scott, is language around or a standard around how companies are handling that issue. Like I know we need to release them and allow them to go, but what is some benchmarking standards around how companies are handling their return? Do they let them pick up where they left off? Does that depend on how long they're gone? Are they, making them use time? I just want to understand how other employers are handling that, because as we continue to hire more veterans, we're going to see this on a more consistent basis. And we want to amend our union contract language to reflect something a little better for our veterans so that they're not, so they know going in. Like right now, our line work apprenticeship, it says in their contract that they're not allowed to miss more than 20 days. But we haven't put in specific language around veterans or allowed exceptions to that rule for veterans. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. So first of all, thank you for your work to try and improve programs to meet the needs of not only veterans, but those that are also, called into active duty for a short period of time. So thank you for that. Probably, I don't know about the expert on that, but the person that's going to have a lot of data around what is a best practice and what are most companies doing is going to be Dave Dunkel. Did you go to Dave's session?
Dave told me I didn't need to go to his session because I knew everything he was going to tell me.
Oh, see, you need.
But I would gladly knock on Dave's door for that.
Well,
Dave is
I thought of a good solution, but it's not going to work either. You could go present what Dave is presenting, then he could come out here to talk to you, but that won't work, right?
Right.
No, Dave.
I'm asking Dave if he's got some information there. He doesn't know what I hadn't asked him that specific question yet. So.
Yeah, and he's probably doing what we asked him to do, which is kind of like just an overview of what you already know about, which is the veteran friendly employer program. But when he holds those sessions, the employers get together and they talk about things like the best practices. For the session I was in anyway, they did a pretty nice, at GE, they did a really nice roundtable about just exactly what you're talking about, how to best handle that, about contracts that needed to be changed, and how to kind of facilitate veterans in the workforce. And
yeah, I think I was at that workshop at GE.
Were you at that one?
I
Okay.
believe so, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. If you're looking for more specific information, so what Russ would be really an expert to talk about would be if the program standards for the apprenticeship need to be edited or revised to make those kind of provisions, and it's going to be a little bit more complex because you have the union contract to also consider, right?
Exactly, and that's where it becomes so complex because
Right.
our 4-step apprenticeship, our 4-year apprenticeship is laid out in a way that if they need step 2 training and it's only offered in January, February, and they're deployed, then ultimately they need to wait till the following year to get that step 2 training, because we don't do just pop-up trainings for, one offers. So that it's a very complex issue, but we just want to make sure that we're meeting their needs and meeting where they're at. The other issue is if they're gone for an extended period of time, they may miss that step training, which then ultimately sets them back in terms of the pay scale. But based on the they're gone, sometimes they may need that refresher when they come back. So it's I struggle with should it be an automatic pickup where you left off, or should that be time-based based on how long they're gone? And I want to make sure that they're still getting the proper training and feeling comfortable with the standards.
Well, that does sound like a good issue for us to maybe share insight into, just around what he's seen companies doing that have similar challenges, maybe in their program standards. So one of the challenges about today's event is that I just don't know, and it might work out perfect. I was trying to figure out, because you might be able to get some of that information from Mark and Tiffany as well, because they do a lot of those revisions that Russ ends up reviewing.
So, yeah, I was just in Russ and Tiffany's room and posed that question there.
Oh, did you? Okay, cool.
I did.
And they said, go to the main room and talk to Russ.
Yeah, Tiffany said she's not certain. There's what I'm looking for is a starting point. I'm looking for some language somewhere in a DOL handbook, something that gives me a starting point to say, okay, by law, we have to do this. We have to be able to, and I know that by law, we have to be able to allow them to go. But what I'm looking for is a starting point of, okay, so what does that look like to allow them to go? Does that mean they automatically pick up where they left off? Or does that mean, is it employer determined, or is there a national or a state standard around that?
Yeah, that does sound like a good Russ question. Is that what Tiffany was thinking? Is it?
Yeah. She said that she's worked with a lot of employers who've allowed them to pick up when they left off. But then she said that sometimes if they deploy for a year or more, it's not always a pickup where you left off. So she did refer me to Russ. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. So you're doing good. You're not going to let me refer you back to that room because you already went there and asked your question. So we're making.
I know. I see what you're trying to do here, Sky. Trying to push me off. No, I think maybe
we're making progress because you're finding out all the doors that you can't use again.
Right. Don't send me to a revolving door. No, but I haven't asked the question of Dave. And so maybe Dave is the right place, and maybe I should go listen in on his session, even though he thinks I know everything he's going to say. So
maybe I'm thinking, maybe not, just because it's potentially unique to his group. But if you survive the Registered Apprenticeship Room 1 and still were able to ask your question, I would just be curious to have his insight for sure, even if Russ has a direct answer, just because a lot of times he may be aware of, just from those conversations, of what is kind of a current best practice or proven practice for employers that have been in the same situation and maybe have a similar contract. Because I know exactly, if you could have a sample to work from, wouldn't that be awesome, right? Like language that's already there, which makes me think maybe Russ, right, might know of something similar in somebody else's standards, but Dave may have some best practice thoughts as well, would be would be what I'm thinking.
Right, from fellow employers. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I can just hang out. Is there a Q&A session for the entire group at the end after this session or no?
You know, there isn't, but we certainly can have one. It just depending on the enthusiasm people have after the third or second or third one of these. I think we'll get feedback from the session facilitators to kind of say, guys, you know, I think we're getting pretty close. Or we added the fourth one because when we were laying out this really, I don't know, something we've never tried before agenda, Dave was thinking, you know, I'm going to get employers though. They're going to come back after 3 and go, wait a minute, I want that last one. So we put that in there just in case, you know, somebody who doesn't know all the things that you know might want to know about GI Bill benefits or whatever session they missed. But we did kind of intend to have some kind of a wrap up so that we could know, for one thing, how do people feel about it? There's going to be lots of ways to improve the event. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So we definitely could ask your question, which might be helpful for other people to hear as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I know there's other employers on the line that have existing apprenticeships that might be struggling with the same thing. And just so you know, Scott, just for your own personal knowledge, if you know a veteran who has a documented electrical background, if they worked in the military in electrical or have taken any, you know, basic coursework in electrical, we are launching that electric line worker training program in March. The website, the application website is live now, and we are starting to get the word out that it's happening. So if you know anyone, or, you know, if I can send you the information via email and you can pass it along to your network or people you may know, we'd love to.
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. So our network, if you were on at the beginning, I don't know how many people were here at the start, but I just showed a picture of the Michigan map with the, you know, the one that has the regions for the apprenticeship success coordinator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we have that network, and Carrie and Kevin are constantly sharing information back and forth with that network. And I would think that would be an opportunity that you may wish to share across the board, you know, with all
great.
of them.
I know we've put a bug in the ear of the apprenticeship placement coordinators at all of the 8 major military installations to let them know it was coming well. So I would imagine they have connections with those individuals too.
Were you on any of the calls dealing with the new National Vet Program? Is that the coordinators that you're thinking of?
No.
Okay, so there's a national program where, based on opportunities, they're trying to present those opportunities nationally to transitioning veterans that may be interested in moving to the Michigan area or any other area. So Region 5 has a coordinator that kind of looks across the nation at all of the transitioning members and looks for opportunities if they're interested in moving there. And Dave has that program you might be familiar with, where they're promoting Michigan as one of those options. Are you guys?
Dave sits on our Michigan Energy Workforce Development Consortium Executive Council. So he's very aware of our training program that's coming. I would imagine he's helping us to spread the word. But, you know, when you mention the success coordinators by region, I'm curious to know who is the person in like the Lansing Jackson area.
So he's in, Carrie is Jay Lansing? Jackson is.
Yes, Jay is Lansing. He works.
Jay, so do you know Jay Lanou, who's in room 4 right now doing presentations?
I do not know Jay Lanou.
Oh, you gotta meet Jay. He's the, now I don't know about, can you peek at that sheet, Carrie? Are you in a place where you can look up I probably can do it.
What, the apprenticeship success coordinators?
Yep.
Got them right here.
Who's got Jackson?
I mean, Consumers is all over the Lower Peninsula, but
Yeah.
we're headquartered in Jackson, so working with somebody in the Jackson area might be a great start.
Yeah, there's a
That's
couple.
That's Steve Billington.
Okay, so Steve is an option as well. I definitely talk with Jay though, if you can today while you're here. And it wouldn't hurt Wanda is his partner today in their presentations, and Wanda has a lot of activity in the Saginaw, Flint, Bay City area as well, which
Okay.
that's
Great
Consumers
connections.
Energy, right?
It sure is.
Yeah.
I just put Steve Billington's contact information in the chat, Amber.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Carrie. I appreciate
welcome.
that. That's good to know. I'd never heard of these success coordinators before today, so that's good to know.
Yep, and it might be beneficial just to hang out, if your schedule permits, just to hang out in room 4 with them and let them go through their thing and just make your offer there about what's coming in March, and then we can kind of put an exclamation point behind that by then distributing that opportunity out through that network of coordinators, and that gets you to all 16 regions. And many of those will also be Consumers Energy regions as well.
Well, and if you're sticking around for the session, Amber, I would highly recommend that you go to Jay and Wanda's session. That would be
Okay, gladly. I would gladly.
Yeah, I think that'd be really
So
useful.
what time does that start, Carrie?
When we started at 10:20, so is it almost now?
We're
it's almost over.
now.
Oh.
Whenever Christine is ready, I think you can send out the 5-minute warning or whatever.
Yeah, because okay.
We're about 1 minute before the actual agenda time.
Okay, I can hang out. I that's no problem.
But then also, if you can, we'll try to wrap up in one of these sessions. Actually, we're building forces as we speak. I see people returning.
Yeah. So when Christine comes back, you'll want to ask her for room 4, Amber.
Okay, I can do that. I'm about ready to drive to Pennsylvania and help count some votes because this is getting a little.
Right. Maybe we'll
Road trip.
Well, I like the action-oriented approach, right? This isn't sitting back. This is I'm getting in the car and driving.
Yep, I can count.
I'll go with you. I'll do it too.
You're gonna have a bus load here in just a minute. We're not gonna be able to finish.
I have my abacus. I'm ready to go.
All right, welcome back those who came from what looks like GI Bill approval process. That one session has already ended. If you'd like to let me know which breakout session you'd like to go to next, we do have a 5-minute break, so we're not going to start until 10:45. So I can send you to session, but you still have 5-minute break before it actually starts.
Christine, hi, it's Amber. I have been so well advised by my friend Scott to attend session 4 next.
All right, you have gotten a message and it should be in your tab below. So you can select that whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And I think Amber, yep, you're welcome. And I think when you get done with that session, my guess is that Russ will be back. I'm not positive.
Russ is back now.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
So if you'd like to, you can ask him that question. John Gardner, do you have a preference of where you'd like to go next? I think he's on break. Jason, do you like to go somewhere?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is John Gardner. I would like room 1.
Room 1, all right.
Thank you.
Jason, do you have a preference where you'd like to go? All right.
I'm back. Just want to let everybody know.
Welcome back, Russ.
Okay, thank you very much.
Fred Pittman, do you have a preference of where you'd like to go next?
I think it'll be room 3. Appreciate it.
All right, Kelly Wilson, where would you like to go?
I'm not quite sure yet. What were the choices again of the rooms?
Scott, can you put it up? I did think it's also in the chat. It's the USDOL RA sponsorship adding occupations and revisions, MVAA veteran-friendly employer certification programs, the GI Bill approval process, and the MWA RA support funding.
How about room 3, the GI Bill approval process?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Rebecca. Can I get room 3 as well? Thank you.
You're welcome. James, do you have a preference where you'd like to go?
James is asking for room 3.
All right.
I'd also like room 3, please. Nilda Thomas.
All right.
And Liz Rivard Weston would also like room 3.
Jason Venema for room 1, please.
Debbie
Bear, room 1, please.
Thank you. Kendall Kettle, do you have a preference where you'd like to go?
Room 1, please.
Wanda, do you have a preference?
Wanda needs to be in room 4, please.
Oh, she's gotten in there. All right, great.
Jay, do you have a leftover invite to room 4, or do you need one?
Let me check here real quick. Nope, I have a leftover invite. So.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
All right, for those still in the room, you do have to click on the breakout room tab at the bottom of your screen and click join to return to your breakout session.
Scott, what is the time frame for work session 3? I think we were ahead 10 minutes. Is that correct?
Nope, we're back on track. 3 runs from 10:45 just started through 11:05.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Wanda, do you have a leftover breakout room in your bottom panel there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go right back there now.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Julie, do you have a preference in where you'd like to go?
Room 2.
Christine, me as well. Yvette Hughes, room 2.
Just sent you both there. If you check out your breakout room tab. Michelle York, do you have a preference where you'd like to go?
I'm looking at the sheet. I know I chose a session, but I can't see them on my screen right now.
Let's see.
They're also listed in the chat if you can see the chat.
So it's USDOL, RA sponsors adding, or RA sponsorships adding occupations / revisions. Room 2 is MVAA Veteran Friendly Employer Certification Program. Room 3 is GI Bill approval process, and room 4 is the MWA RA support and funding.
That one, please.
All right.
Christine, this is Athena Duma. I would like room 3.
All right, I've just sent that to you.
Thank you.
Janine here. It looks room 4, Michigan Works support and funding.
All right, that was just sent to your breakout room tab. Nicole Peterson, do you would like to switch rooms?
Christine, may I go to room 3, please?
Yes, you may, Kevin.
I'm at Clee. Can I go to room 3, please?
Yes, you may, Kevin. All right. So if you have not chose to join a breakout room, and at this time, if you'd like to ask questions to Scott and Russ Davis and Carrie Sutton, they are all here available to you exclusively. I'll stop sharing Scott's screen. So feel
Thank
free
you.
to ask questions.
Just a heads up, Russ, for you, that you've got questions coming after this session or the next from Amber Fogarty.
Kendall, you're back. Do you want to go to a different room?
Yes. I don't know which ones are. I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay.
So you were in the USDOL sponsorship adding occupation one. So we still have the MVAA veteran friendly employer certification, the GI Bill approval process, and the MWA RA support and funding. They're also in the chat.
I thought I had done 3 and 4, the GI Bill in MW. So it's either, I was just in number 1 and it's the apprenticeship.
Yep, it's about adding occupations. So would you like to try the veteran friendly employee certificate?
Yeah, sure.
God, are we on session 2 or 3 now?
We just started session 3, Russ.
Okay. So we're basically about the right time. Is that what we're running?
Yeah, actually, we're back very close to being on the schedule.
Okay.
And we're learning a lot. I see a couple of things. One thing we got to do is make a little map of where people find the breakout rooms. That would help a lot, I think.
I just I just answered a little chat. Don't know if I did it right.
Perfect, perfect. So they can tag you, Russ, right, and send just
Well,
to you, so.
It happened to come up, and so I let them know, because there are some questions, which rightly so, about when the veterans, what do they get for credit for previous experience? And I wanted to make sure that that's something that we do that on a one-on-one basis, depending on their occupation, where they're going. We make sure it's a win-win for the veteran, the sponsor, but we also include the educational people too. You know, everybody's involved in that, but we don't. Never has someone come to me, a veteran, saying I didn't get enough credit, I didn't do this. At that point, we're neutral. Say, hey, this is, and we try to take care of this during the probation period. And so, but we don't influence. If somebody says, well, you're going to get a year and you're going to get these classes, we don't say, go back and say, no, they deserve more. I've never done that. We say, look, this is where we're at. This is what we feel is right. So kind of a
Very
fine,
good.
but it's a one-on-one deal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And we could do that also in a breakout room. And then you are going to have a question from Amber Fogarty at Consumers Energy.
Oh, let me take this phone call just a minute.
Sure.
Okay.
At any time, if you'd like to me to switch you in a room, if no one's talking, go ahead and just get on your mic or just send me a chat.
So we're absolutely happy to take any questions you might have. As Christine said, thank you. And thank you for your polite manner of shuffling people around. You make an excellent Zoom concierge, Christine. So I would be interested in any feedback that you would have related to this process, how we could improve it. If you were here at the beginning, then you see pictures of us holding similar events, trying to get employers and people, administrators and people with resources all together to kind of have time to talk and solve problems. And I'm curious, as you go through this experience as a participant, how could we make it easier to do and more effective for you as a participant?
Snacks. You could offer snacks.
I got snacks. All right, hang on a second. We can do
Donna's
snacks.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Donna's Donuts. If we were meeting in person, Director Davis, Russ, would bring us Donna's Donuts because he always does. So that's definitely one thing that's missing, snacks.
I think for the first time a go at this, Scott, and the job that Christine and your team has done, I think it's been excellent so far. And I think that we'll see. I'm anxious to get the feedback from Mark and Tiffany on how that is going there. That'll be interesting. Oh my gosh, there they are. You're good, Scott.
Those are them. Those are
Oh my gosh.
the mentioned Donna's Donuts. They look just as good as ever, don't they, Russ?
Yes, they do. They do. That one right there, that one right there in the center is it's got my name on it.
All right.
Oh, good job, Scott.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. But thanks, Russ. Yeah, I'm anxious for the feedback as well. But really, any participants, Nicole, John, Rebecca, Fred, Kelly, any thoughts? How we could improve it, what the experience is like? Is the breakout room successful at all?
That was a question I had, was we had 4 breakout sessions in 4 breakout rooms. So we didn't really save any time versus just presenting it one after the other. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of the breakout room was.
So that's an excellent comment. Yep, thank you.
Just, it didn't feel any different, I guess. Yeah.
So a couple things. One is to keep people active rather than just listening all the time. That's one. Second is to try and make it more interactive, where in a group of 50 like we have today, one of the things that happens in Zoom is 1 or 2 people, maybe 3 or 4 at the most, will ask questions or chat, or they'll get a little something going on in the chat. But overall, it's not really intimate enough to help people be in the right environment to interact with the presenter. So we're trying to improve the interaction and maybe even the level of personal, this is my issue kind of interaction. Like what I'm having trouble with is I don't know what the pay scale should be, right? And we're not there today, but we're trying to figure out how do we get there in this new environment, right? And we kind of have, Russ's team has done these very successfully, where they do information, then we start structuring a registered program, then he does a signing session, and they like move people right through the process of getting employers signed up for apprenticeships. And we just are struggling to pull that into a virtual format, which makes so much sense. And his team today is even doing virtual site visits, which before was, well, we got to do a site visit now. And so we're just trying to streamline that process. And this is like our first attempt at trying to do that virtually. How does that sound to you though, Julie?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It would be, maybe it would be helpful if there was, say, 8 choices and but maybe only 4 time frames. So you picked and chose the ones that you were most interested in. Okay. But it was a much smaller, more intimate group. That is true. Very, very true.
Okay.
I would like to add a comment here, Scott, for you, Julie. Today, in this session here, we are bringing into the play, because it's about veterans in the new standards and the new addendum, where there's a couple new pieces in this format that next time might not be just there. It might be an information or 1.0, and the information that's getting in a breakout session will be embedded in that other session. So, this one here is, we wanted to make sure that all the current sponsors that may be going to revise or add an occupation, we talked about this addendum, the new boilerplates. We also wanted to bring into play the new potential sponsors and how we can do business. And so the information you might get from this team a month or 6 weeks from now may be information 1.0, and it might have some breakout sessions that might be the same, might be a little different. We'll go in deeper in the weeds about getting standards put together. Does that make sense? Julie, are you a potential sponsor, or can you identify yourself?
I work for Michigan Works West Michigan.
Oh,
and
okay.
And I'm working with our apprenticeship coordinator.
So then you're probably working with, you would be working with Tiffany over there then. Are you out of Grand Rapids area?
With Tiffany, Mary Bennett is our apprenticeship success coach coordinator.
Okay, very good. Yeah. So when Tiffany's going to hold these information sessions, or your apprenticeship steering, is going to hold one, you would be learning more as you go forward.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And actually, in part, this is in a little bit, and we combined a couple of different issues, I'll say, along with Russ was explaining, we had the converging of the Veterans Month and Apprenticeship Week coming up next week. We tried to figure out how to do some kind of a celebration for employers that were new sponsors, which we proposed to be on the 12th next week. Then we had a request that you'll be very familiar with, Julie, which is, what can you guys do at the state level or at Russ's team's level to help us provide a common standard presentation to employers, but do it at like a state level? And the idea was, what if we were asked, right, is if we invite people from the regions and then you guys do a kickoff thing, can we exit to regional rooms and then
That would be incredible.
Would that be okay? That's,
Yes.
I was kind of looking
Yes.
for that feedback. We didn't really pull it off this time because one of the challenges we have is that, you know, Russ doesn't have 60, if we did 16 regions, right? Russ doesn't have 16 ATRs to put in those rooms.
Yeah.
But if they could get the conversation started for your region and then work with maybe next, it would swing to an ATR session or something. We're just trying to get the kinks worked out. How could we, you know, make this thing happen online? But there is good energy around that, you know, having regions invite to a state level event like this one, kick it off with a standard presentation, you know, talk about the benefits and then try and engage the employers in wherever they are, take one more step towards getting it done.
I have another question for you while we're just chatting, waiting. Any chance that you could do the signing ceremony on the 11th, which would be Veterans Day? Just a thought. It's one day sooner, but
yeah, probably
I don't know if that's an option.
Yeah, it's a great idea actually, and probably not, just because for most people it's a holiday or the Veterans Day is a day off. Not for probably for a lot of employers, but for some it is. And so we went to the next day everybody could, which was 12th. That's how we got to the.
That's how you did it.
Yeah, that's how we got to the 12th originally. Good idea though. I like how you're thinking.
That's the important day to the veterans.
Yeah.
It is, but they've given the federal employees a day off.
Right.
And actually, I would say I would do it that day, but I'm committed to going to a cemetery that day. So I won't be available. I would love to do it for them, but if they can understand.
Sure.
Cemetery, I can't be two places.
Right. Right.
So Julie, how long have you worked for Michigan Works?
I've only been with Michigan Works about 16 months.
Okay.
Very, very new to workforce development.
Well, I think that's great, but we love your enthusiasm. I look forward to having you work with Tiffany and CEs over there as far as learning more about these sessions. But Julie, you're going to find out as you get deeper involved in this, you're going to get sponsors that are interested, and they're really going to want to talk one-on-one, and they're not going to want to share everything with everybody.
Right.
And we find that out. We have these information sessions, and when they get closer to where they want to work with getting into occupations, and they're more of the PII and everything about their business. Well, let's talk one-on-one, and we get going there. So, but generally, at the 5,000 foot level, we all can talk about this, and then we drill down, and then we get them in their lanes, and we get them in the barnyard.
Yeah, get them interested, ready to talk, then one-on-one them.
And then we shut the gate and we take care of it. I used to be a farmer, Julie.
Great comments and questions. Thank you, Julie. Anybody else with comments or questions? Format today. Amber, I know you have a question for Russ if you haven't been able to ask it yet.
Yeah, I put it in the chat bar privately to him, Scott.
Perfect.
I think it's going to require Russ and I connecting a little further, because I really want to understand what other gold level employers are doing for apprentices that get deployed or have to go away to training. We're struggling with it a little bit, Russ, in the fact that our apprenticeship is very structured, and we have, for example, our line workers, if they need step 2 training, and step 2 training is only offered in January, and they're deployed, they essentially have to wait till that next go round to get that training. And so we want to serve them well. We want to kind of meet them where they're at, but we also can't completely alter our training schedule just for 1 or 2 people.
You can't, and you do have a unique situation because of your line worker training there, and if that if what has been taking place, Amber, we've found out with the trades, the schools and all that, if we've gone from face to face to virtual, we've had to have a little different delivery method. And so if it's book work and they're getting deployed, maybe that's something different as far as completing the task. But if it's that I've got to learn to climb that pole and I've got tasks out there for in the labs, that's a different issue, stating that they may have to wait. It also states in the standards that as you know, is that when they are back from deployment, that you're gonna have their job's gonna be open, and they're gonna go back into that training, the training that they left. But if that's the situation you have, that I missed pole climbing 101, well, then I may have to be doing something else till I can get back and do the 101. And it's very unique. But I will say that I had a meeting with all the construction unions back in June. And I asked, we went round robin about how did you change your training because of the COVID. You're asking, how do I change a training for somebody getting deployed for a few weeks or months? And so I think that we have to think outside the box, but it's hard to think outside the box. I know, because I set line worker training up at Delta College years ago.
I remember that.
I wrote the curriculum for that, and it started there. Then it went down to Lansing, and then it went to Marshall, I think. But so I understand that, and you can't hold a class for one employee, and that's why we do it in cohorts.
Great, thanks, Russ. I appreciate it.
But I'll be glad, you've got my email, you got my cell phone. If you want to talk further or that offline, be glad to talk to you. And we want to make sure that it's a win-win for everybody. Okay.
You bet. Thank you. I'll reach out.
Okay.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you, Russ. Anybody else? Question, comments on the format today, suggestions for improving today's format would be beneficial for us for sure. Looks like maybe we're gaining the rest of our participants here. Welcome back to the big room.
Just finished the last breakout. I think that went pretty well.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. So anybody who's willing, we'd love to get some feedback on the event today. We just had a discussion that was just pretty candid about kind of what the format looked like and what the goals are and how it worked. And so any thoughts you might have on the process of trying to move back and forth to the breakout rooms, the whatever, now we'd love to hear it.
I thought everything went pretty well. I think 4 breakout sessions might be a little too much. Doing it 4 times is, by the time you're on your 4th one, you're like, okay, I'm just about for this. You hit your peak at 3, I think. So, but yeah, I had had about the same number of people each time. I think 6 or 7 people each breakout session. But went pretty well.
Okay.
Good job herding us all.
There you go, Christine. There is a compliment for you.
I thought it was great. I actually learned a lot. I'm glad that I got the email to join, and it actually helped me to kind of understand a little bit, the whole process, and then how I might be able to, help move the needle forward. And definitely we'll be reaching out to some of you who I have your contact information, and share a little bit more about workforce e-training solutions, and how I might be able to help, and see how we can collaborate. So thank you so much. I learned a lot. And the breakout, I'm on Zoom all the time, so the breakout rooms were great. I don't think you want to go past 4 though.
All right, thanks.
And they were in the same amount of time. It was great.
Okay, thank you.
If we got Mark or Tiffany on there that can make a couple.
Tiffany's there, Mark's there.
Yeah, we made it back.
No, it went well. My only recommendation is maybe try to like, we had one breakout, they had 14 people in it, but then our last one only had 1 person in it. So I don't know if there's a way that you can
balance.
I don't know, like maybe like, try to get the group so it's the same amount of people going through whatever. Because like our first group was awesome, lots of questions, amazing questions, everything else. The second group, which was the largest one, but not that many questions, and then it just kind of like went down from there. So, but it was great. I mean, transitioning through whatever and trying to get, staying on track. Thank you very much at the last 2 for putting the little, what's that little bar at the top that says you have 5 minutes left. Thank you for that.
And you might want to do a few minutes between each session so people can switch if they're not technically inclined.
Okay.
Those people, don't we, Mark?
No, I wouldn't. Present company excluded, right?
Hey, that's why he stayed in the the conference room or whatever.
My madness.
No, I thought it went really well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good job, Scott, and putting this whole thing together. I know a lot of planning went into this.
Yep, thank you. Couldn't do it without you guys. Any other comments or stuff that we're missing, or a question you have as we're closing today? Seeing none, I apologize if you were on mute and trying to provide a comment or question. Thanks for those of you who are, I missed a few questions in the chat. Presentations can be available, I believe. I don't think there'll be a problem with sharing presentations. Those typically come out as a response to the registration. Is that right, Christine? There's also a nice pile of resources in the materials that came out with the event, and many of the resources that you may have looked at are available there as well, in maybe an alternate form and probably with more information. So thank you for your time and attendance this morning. Thank you for going through this event with us. Again, thanks to those of you for your service who are veterans, and then hoping you have an excellent National Apprenticeship Week. We're running into that for next week. There's lots of events. If you go to apprenticeship.gov, that's the national site, you'll find a map of all the things happening next week there. So if you zoom in on Michigan, you'll see opportunities for more virtual events during the week. And if you have any other questions, please let us know. Again, thanks then, and bye.
Uh,
Go ahead, Russ.
I was just gonna say that for anybody that wants to get involved in these events, that you mentioned that, but anybody that wants to turn a proclamation in, you can contact Mark DeCoster, and he would be glad to make sure we upload that. So that if there's more information, you can email me and we'll make sure that you get the documentation. And so we want to get as many events and proclamations uploaded to the national office as we can. So thank you, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you, Russ. Anybody else? Dave, closing comments?
Just thanks for all your efforts. Really appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome.
Well,
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
so, guys.